There we go. So beauties, my intention for today is for you to make sweet love to life and cultivate unapologetic expression, pleasure, wholeness, liberation, sovereignty, to just be a badass bitch in this world that we're in, this wild time that we're in. So if you're here for that, you could drop me some emojis or some cheers in the chat. Or if you're watching this back, you can just shimmy to affirm that. So in today's ceremony, we're going to run through, as a structure, 3 revelations to start healing your pleasure wounds and to reclaim sensual self-confidence. And at the very end, I'm going to announce the competition winner. I think you're going to be really excited. We just drew it. Me and my beautiful fairy, my assistant Michelle, who's going to be talking with you in the chat as well. We just drew the winner. So we're going to announce that at the end. And the winner wins access to my pleasure course, Embodied Ecstasy. It's one of my previous courses, but it's really amazing. So that's happening at the end. And I'm going to give you everything I got, guys. I'm going to give you everything that I could get into an hour and that I can pour into this hour. I'm going to shower you in all of the wisdom and the pleasure codes that I have for you. And at the very end, I am going to give you an invitation to take the next step into my program, Pleasure Empress, if you feel that that is calling to you. But at the same time, if you feel like this training is everything you need, this ceremony is everything that you came for, then that's beautiful too, because everything in this time that we have together is going to be really revolutionary. It's really, really powerful. So I'm just going to dive into what these 3 revelations are, and then we're going to do a little bit of a prayer, do a little bit of a meditation, breathe a little together, and really drop into our bodies and connect here today. So the first revelation that we'll drop into a little bit further on is how to stop apologizing to other women for your sensuality, for your sexuality, for your self-leadership, for your boldness, and the fullness of who you are. This is really important. Revelation 2 is the vibrational threads of pleasure, abundance, and safety. I talk about this so much. I talk about this in so many of my offerings because it's so important, not just for embracing our confidence, our sensuality, but also with things like manifesting, feeling good with money, feeling good around wealth, calling in our desires, all of the juicy things that I'm sure all of you are really into or enchanted by. And Revelation 3 is seducing yourself to seduce the quantum field. This is a really powerful principle that I play with that is so potent, and that's why I'm so excited to be sharing this one with you too. So loves, just to drop into our bodies now and out of our minds, because sometimes coming into a Zoom room, coming into a webinar with lots and lots of people, lots of women, lots going on in the chat, it can be a little bit, in the head, that kind of energy. So what I really want us to do is to drop into our body. So I'm going to play a little bit of music. If I know how to do this on the webinar. Let me see if I know how to do it. I think I do. As I figure it out, you can just start to close down your eyes and bring your awareness to what is inside your body today, what's happening within you. What's happening inside. What's happening inside of this beautiful body of yours. I'm going to skip the music because I just want to be here with you. So bringing your attention to your breath. And noticing what's there. noticing any sensations. And if you do notice some sensation in your body, just say, I welcome you. It's safe for you to be here. And I want you to take 3 deep breaths. And on each exhale, let yourself completely relax into your hips. Sending your breath down into your hips. And if you notice any sensation here, welcome that too. And as you breathe, breathing the knowing that all of you is welcome. Not just the pretty parts, not just the impressive parts, but all of you. Even the mess, even the resistance. All of you is divine and sacred, worthy and whole. And on your next few breaths, I want you to breathe in through your mouth and out through your mouth. And as you breathe, I want you to relax your hips. If you're crossing your legs, maybe open, maybe spread your legs a little bit more open. Relax your spine. You don't have to sit like a lady. And as you breathe in and out through your mouth, breathing in as if you're breathing a beautiful light up through your yoni, through your womb or your womb space, up into your heart, and then sending that light back down again. If this is new, that's okay too. There's no wrong or right way to feel or to breathe. And as you breathe, breathing the awareness that it is safe to relax. There's nothing to prove. You're worthy of being here. You're worthy of being present. You're worthy of your own love and devotion. And throughout this time together, know that you can come back to your breath anytime that you want to ground, that you want to feel safe. And I want you to treat this space, to treat this experience with the attention and the love and the focus that you would desire from a lover. Dedicating that love to yourself in the next 50 minutes. Because you're worth it. Take 3 deep breaths, and on the exhale, sound. Breathing again. One last deep breath. taking your time to slowly open your eyes. There's no rush. Trusting your body. Trusting yourself and your timing, which is so important. And when you open your eyes, you want to let me know how you're feeling. If you want to share, if you want to be witnessed, feel free to let us know what's up for you. Megan said peaceful, beautiful, juicy, safe, relaxed, dropped in, here in the now, soft, open, relaxed, beautiful. Oh my goodness. Yes. Just a few minutes and we can go there. Isn't it wild and cool? Yeah, Chloe burst out crying in an emotional release. Beautiful. Amazing. So grateful for you all. Thank you for being here with me and being available to receive these transmissions and this work, because, you know, it's kind of edgy, isn't it? It's not really like an everyday occurrence that you're dropping in for a sensual ceremony with other women to talk about unleashing your authenticity, unleashing your expression, your boldness, your big heart, your love, your magnetism, all of these beautiful teachings and things that we get to embody. So I honor you all for being here and for showing up live, and for anyone watching the replay, for watching the replay. And we're going to dive into some of these beautiful revelations. And like I said at the end, I'm going to be talking to you about Pleasure Empress, so you can decide if you want to stay on for that. But yeah, if you're excited about hearing more, let me know in the chat. I always love to have your reflections and your encouragement. It really means a lot to me when you guys are excited. So diving into these beautiful revelations, you're probably going to want to take notes. But if you're not a note taker and you just want to be here breathing and receiving, that's also okay. Remember, there's a replay, so you can totally return to the video later as well if you want to take notes later. So I have a question for you first, and I would love to riff with you and to hear your answers and reflections. What would it mean to you if you could have a loving, powerful relationship with your sensuality, with your senses, with your feminine energy? What would it mean to you or for you? Isabella said empowerment. Samantha said freedom. Elise said freedom. Yes. Freeing experience. Yes. Beautiful. Leaned back. Yeah. It would mean I could be my authentic self. Liberation, empowerment, connection, liberation, expansion. Wow. Slowing down and taking stock of life more. How beautiful is that? Yes, releasing wildness. Oh my goodness, the chat's moving so fast. I can't keep up with reading them out loud. Oh my goodness, finally embracing my sexiness. Yeah, seeing more of me and therefore allowing others to. Yes, amazing, amazing. Beautiful. And all of these things that you're sharing, isn't it so powerful? Because these things influence everything. Not just how we feel about our bodies or about self-pleasure or maybe sexuality, but it influences how you're going to feel when you express yourself if you're a business owner, or when you're dating and you're trying to stay in your power and maybe work with some of your attachment styles, or maybe your way of relating to money or to power. I feel like all of these things are so liberating. Wow. Oh my goodness. Ellie said, I'm so emotional to be here. I'm so emotional to be here too, babe. I am. I'm so grateful. I'm so honored. it's just such an honor to facilitate this and this work, because it's truly life-changing. So many women are so wounded around their sensuality, their sexuality, because of trauma, because of the world that we live in, and the society, the code of being a good woman, the code of being a lady, all of these very oppressive codes of being that we're moving out of. And I say it's a really powerful time as well, because we're starting to really move out of that. We're probably the first generation of women who has this level of safety around being able to express our pleasure and our sensuality for us, and not for the male gaze or profit or for somebody else or for manipulation, but really as a source of empowerment for ourselves and for our daughters and our lineage and our ancestors. Yeah. And my next question is, what would open up in your life if you had a deep worthiness inside of your body? So not just a mental sense of feeling worthy, not just reading affirmations or some quotes, but what would open up if you really felt that in your body, so that you walked into any room or onto any phone call or any date or any experience that you walked into, you just knew it deep inside? Yeah. Power and confidence, freedom, receiving authentic love. Life would open up. Yes. Freedom, deeper connections. Yeah. Yes. One of the things that happened for me when I really deeply embraced this pathway was that I really unleashed so much power through my throat chakra as well. I am able to have the business that I have now because of this work, which seems kind of weird, doesn't it? It's like learning about your body and your sensuality. Like, what does that have to do with business? But for me, it's been everything. It's a reason why I can do something like this and meet all of you gorgeous people all around the world and do the podcast and all the different things and create beautiful medicine in the world. Beautiful work in the world. Yeah. So authenticity, fearlessness, being able to feel safe within my own body. Yes. Showing up authentically and the universe would reciprocate. Yes. Not holding back anymore. Yeah. Who wants to stop holding back? Who wants to stop holding yourself back? Yeah. Yeah. Me. Right? Who wants to peel off all of these heavy layers? I should do this. I should do this. They said I should be this. Right? Who's sick of being fucking professional? Right? I'm not very professional. But, who wants to feel safe expressing themselves spiritually, sensually, through their voice, with their money, with their sisters, having close sisterhood where there's no jealousy and competition or judgment or projection? I know that I desired all of these things so deeply for so long. And that's why I'm so crazy in love with this work. And we're going to dive into these revelations now so that we can start to play with these in our reality. And my desire and intention for you is to take these notes or to take what you receive from today, and I want you to go and put it into action in your life. I want you to go and really transmute it into your everyday reality so that it doesn't just become words that you received here, but so that it becomes transformation that occurs out there, not only for you, but for every single person that you come into contact with, and every other woman who didn't attend this training, but sees you shining a little bit brighter and gets inspired by you. So on that note, we're going to dive into Revelation 1. Stop apologizing to other women for your sensuality and your self-leadership. Who here has ever been slut-shamed by another woman? Isabella, always. Yes. Yeah, the yeses are going off in the chat. And I'm also curious, who feels like they could have an open dialogue around sensuality, sex, self-pleasure with their mum or with their female friends? Tori just wrote lol. Yeah, everyone's like, oh gosh, not with my mom, right? I get it, right? I really get it. I've been there. And even still, like, there's layers to this, right? But I was just curious to ask because, you know, I think it's interesting, right? We come from our mom's vagina, but we never talk about any of these things. Just going to say it honestly. So the other question I'm curious to ask is, has anyone ever felt afraid to trigger other women with their too muchness, with their boundaries, with their boldness or their beauty? Yeah. Who's been afraid to be like too sexy or maybe too bougie? Who's been afraid to be too bougie or too successful or too this or that with other women? Yeah. And then who's been triggered by other women? Let's be really honest. Like, let's just create clarity and transparency around that. It's the truth, right? It happens. And we get to move through it by being really honest about it, you know, instead of being ashamed or bringing shame to it. So our wounds with other women, whether it's on the receiving end or feeling triggered by other women, can create a lot of disempowerment for us, right? It can stop us from expressing ourselves out in the world, as we've already discussed. It can influence how we relate to men as well. You know, if we're feeling in competition with other women in relationship to men or even in relationship to dating in general. And it can really influence how we see ourselves as well, whether we feel safe being sensual or sexy or dancing on the dance floor or whatever it may be. Yeah. Beautiful. Charlotte wrote, I want to carry my sensual energy around with me every day, even when I'm grocery shopping and walking the dog. Yes. Well, there's an invitation for you, Queen, after this. Start. Be the one to go first. So sisterhood, feeling supported by other sisters, by other women. It's time to reclaim this, but it starts with us, right? It's not like, oh, I'll do that when she does that. It's like, be the one to do that. If you want something, be the frequency of what you want, right? If you want love, go be a force of love in the world. If you feel, you know, upset because other women are triggered by you, look at your own triggers and go, how do I powerfully transform this into love, into learning, into blossoming, into expansion? How do I love this woman who triggers me? You know, we can learn so much from that because, like someone said in the chat, it's like feeling triggered sometimes is because we want something that person embodies. And so we can really learn from their being if we move beyond the initial sensation, or if we even just learn to be with the trigger, you know, just to be like, this trigger is okay and I want to learn something from it. It's time for us to lift each other and to love each other and to realize that there's more than enough for all of us to shine, to have, to hold, to be. You know, one of the biggest scarcity programs in the world is this idea that there's somehow not enough of things. You know, there's not enough men, there's not enough good people to fall in love with, there's not enough money, there's not enough opportunities, you know. And what that creates then is this idea of like, oh, she has what I want, but I can't get it because there's none left. But what if instead we saw each other as examples of what's possible? How would that feel if the woman that triggered you, or if you were the one who was activating someone else, what if you could just shower that person in love and be like, you're going to see what's possible for you soon? Yeah. Ellie said they inspire me to be brave. Yes. Yes. So much abundance comes from this knowing that there's always enough. You know, and these little scarcity blueprints, they can show up everywhere. Like even for me, sometimes I'll notice little things that I'm doing and I'm like, Amy, what the fuck? Come on. Like we are better than this. We can lean into the fact that there's always more where that came from. And sharing is caring, as they say, right? So sharing with one another, loving up on one another, celebrating one another, celebrating women who celebrate themselves instead of seeing it as arrogance or she loves herself too much. What if you were like, wow, what a beautiful possibility. This beautiful being is shining for me. So after this ceremony, here's a little piece of homework. Let's just bring it into like the practical and the tangible so that it's easy to start integrating. The next time that you feel triggered by another woman, I want you to say to yourself, this is an opportunity for me to heal my wounds and to heal my lineage. And I want you to ask, what's here for me? What's here for me? And every single time you do this, you very subtly tweak something deep inside of you. And over time, with a lot of momentum and consistency, you'll get into the rhythm of this. And what happens is that your nervous system changes, your DNA changes, because these imprints get handed down ancestrally, right? And there's huge trauma in the feminine lineages to do with having to compete with other women. Because at one time, we had to compete for safety and survival because women didn't have the same rights. And so instead of blaming yourself or projecting that, what if you saw it as a sacred moment to be like, there's something really juicy here for me. I wonder what it is. I love this revelation. Let's dive into Revelation 2, the vibrational threads between pleasure, abundance, and safety. Beautiful. Okay. Everybody has an inner child, right? We all have like a young part of us that needs things. You know, we have needs. And one of our deepest needs is the need for safety, right? So this is biological, this is primal, this is instinctual for us to seek safety. Safety isn't always comfort. Safety means different things to different people based on what we're used to, based on what we grew up with. Pleasure, on the other hand, pleasure, superabundance, all your desires, you know, that soulmate, all the sexy things you want, right? These are sitting more in this realm of wants and desires. So wants and desires are also a part of our experience, right? We all have things that we want. We all have things we desire. Maybe you want to even share some of your desires in the chat. But biologically, we're really, really intelligent beings in that we will always subconsciously, unconsciously try and get our needs met before our desires. And so if we think that something is unsafe, For example, if you think that it's unsafe to have lots of sensual energy in front of other women, if you think it's unsafe to be rich, if you think it's unsafe to get everything you want, to have it all, even though consciously you might be like, of course I want those things. They're not negative. Why would I not want those things? Your need for safety will trump the desire. And when we look at sensuality, when we look at pleasure, this is really, really important because, you know, a lot of women feel really disconnected from their pleasure. They feel disconnected from their sensual essence, from their senses, from their bodies for so many reasons that are really valid. You know, a lot of us have trauma. A lot of us hold, you know, distortions about the feminine in our bodies for no fault of our own, right? But it's our responsibility to heal it, right? No one's going to come and hand us the pill to heal it. We have to decide, do I want to heal this? And can I be responsible for that? And so one of the ways that we start to tap into more overflowing, juicy levels of pleasure in our body, but also in our life when it comes to manifesting things like money, desires, abundance, all of the juicy things you want externally, it starts with creating safety first. So then you can actually reach out and claim those desires. And you're not subconsciously engaging in a trauma bond or a pattern as a way to try and get safety. And so this work, this sensuality work, is deep inner child healing work. And it's a reparenting process, right? Because we're always looking for that thing that we didn't get. I was talking to my girlfriend about this yesterday. It's like your parents can love you so much. And it's like we're always looking for that one need that we didn't get unconditionally. And, you know, it's not possible to have unconditional safety at all times, right? So it's just a natural part of life. But we want to look at it if we want to heal deeply and be really tapped into our pleasure and our power and our confidence, right? So you mightn't think that working with, say, a pleasure wand or a yoni egg or doing breath work or learning how to breathe into your body and your yoni and touching your breast, you mightn't think that that would be inner child work. But it is, because our inner child is running a lot of the show when it comes to our senses, to our sex, to our relationships, and our relationship to ourselves, our bodies, and our power. So our body won't open if it feels threatened or unsafe, but what is threatening or unsafe is so subjective, right? It could be totally unique to you. And so the way that we move through this, the way that we empower ourselves through this, because it gets to be an empowering process, right? It's not just like, this is all really bad. It's like, no, this is where you go, I'm going to claim my power. The way to claim your power around this is to be the one who meets your needs. You know, everyone's looking for the one, the soulmate. It's you, right? So be the one to meet your own needs. Be the one to prioritize healthy relationships. Be the one to hold your boundary. I like to think that I have this like fierce inner mother inside of me. And then there's also this really tender, sensitive part of me that's like my inner child. You guys probably don't see that one that much from me because it's like not super obvious from the outside. But there is this tender part of me that went through sexual trauma as a child, who's tender, who feels vulnerable, who feels like she gets thrown away and left behind and that people forget her. And so I've developed this fierce inner mother through sensuality work, this like divine feminine, like motherly mama goddess, mama bear inside of me that steps in and says, you know what? I'm going to set a boundary with these people. Or you know what? I'm going to say no to that for you because you need some love right now. And I see you and I will never forget you. And I have only been able to do that through this kind of healing work that I love, that I advocate for, because it's in my body, not in my mind. And so as your homework, as a way of integrating this, I want you to activate your own mama bear, your own mama goddess. And I want you to look at the places where it feels hard to create that safety. Who struggles with boundaries? Yeah. Okay, this is an amazing place to start. Start with, where is it really tricky for you to set boundaries, but you know that it would be a very loving thing for yourself. Start with the place where you think, oh, that's a bit fucking selfish, right? And I want you to ask yourself, well, how could I set a boundary that would activate me into more of love for myself? Because when you deeply love and cherish yourself, you have a much greater capacity to cherish and love other people. Just to give you a little snapshot, I, at the moment, have 13 women in a mastermind. I have 34 women in Pleasure and Press that are about to start with me. I have 90 women in my membership. I have a handful of one-on-one clients, and I have other people who are doing all my courses, right? So like hundreds of women that rely on me, that I am generous with, that I pour love and energy into. And I'm actually able to do that because I really deeply cherish love and put myself and my security and my safety for my inner child first. I can actually give more in that way. And I never feel resentful. I never feel bitter. I feel so good. And I can still pour into all my friendships and my family and my relationship because I come first. And then I have this expanded capacity to have more pleasure, abundance, and generosity in my life and with others. But it's like the opposite of what we think, right? The mind would be like, your boundaries are selfish to put yourself first. Yeah. So start here. And one of the best ways to create safety for yourself, by the way, is through touch. So even throughout this, like you might even notice me doing it throughout this webinar, like I'll literally just be like sitting here, touching myself. And if I'm feeling really afraid, or if I feel really triggered ever, something happens where I'm really upset, I touch myself and I take care of myself and I hold myself. And it's very, very soothing and very affirming. So start here with safety if the boundaries feel like the next level step. Touching, stroking, touching yourself. You can do it with me now if you want, like throughout this training, just try it. And then maybe start doing it when there are other people around, and notice what comes up for you being witnessed. Now, Revelation 3, seducing yourself to seduce the quantum field. These are the dots that I most love connecting with sensuality, because I feel like it's not obvious to a lot of people. Certainly when I started my journey, this was not obvious. I never would have known this. And that is that the way that we feel in our bodies, the way that we heal at a level of body, not at the level of mind, but deep down in our body, influences how we quantum leap, how we manifest, and how we, call our goals and desires in. Some of you might have been in my field for a while. Some of you might be new. If you're one of my original goddesses, let me know in the chat. I'm sure I'll recognize your name. But you've probably seen me over the last couple of years really sort of amplify a lot of things. Like my business grew a lot. I got married several years ago, and then we're living in this beautiful place. And like a lot of things are, really overflowing with a lot of prosperity and power for me. Not to say that I don't struggle, but, there's a lot of beautiful quantum leaps that have happened and evolution that's happened in the last couple of years. It's not a coincidence that is aligned with a period of time where I've been doing like the deepest initiations of sensuality and breathwork, specifically these two, because these expand us into this quantum reality. Because manifestation is not just mindset work, in my belief. Manifestation, abundance, love, they're all about feeling, right? So here we go. Tell me something that you really want to manifest. Tell me something in the chat. New career. Yes. Dream partner, my own place, my first client, husband, new flat. Amazing. Oh my goodness. There's so many beautiful desires coming in. Amazing. Cool. So lots of entrepreneurs or people who want to be entrepreneurs in the chat. Love it. So let me think how I want to ask this. How are you going to feel when you get it? What's the sensation going to be? Free. Yeah. Sexy. Free. Connected. Ecstatic. Expansive. Alive. Tingly. Yes. Juicy. Abundance. Ecstatic. Oh my goodness. I can't even keep up with you guys. Safe. Grateful. Oh my gosh. Wow. So notice how these are all feelings and sensations. Like we want love, or we want that house, or we want that client, or this business goal, or the career, whatever it is, because we want to feel something, right? And this is the paradox, but also the cool thing, because you can feel in the now. Notice how, like, in the first few minutes of this ceremony, how we just dropped into our bodies and immediately, like, the frequency shifted. You didn't have to, like, certain amount of money in your bank account. You didn't have to, like, hustle. You didn't have to do 1,000 things, like hire a bunch of people. You just were brave enough to be present and to drop into the sensation, right? So this is the paradox of manifesting, right? Because of course you have to do some things to manifest, but I think we forget about the feeling and the frequency and feeling into our bodies, not just using our minds to think our way to what we want. And what we feel is so important, because what we feel radiates out into the quantum field, right? That's why you could have the perfect launch strategy. You could have, you know, the perfect plan of how you're going to meet your soulmate, and you've crunched the numbers. You're like, if I go on this many dates, then I'm bound to meet the person. Excuse me. But if you don't feel connected, if you don't feel good, you're overlooking yourself, if you're rushing, you feel like deeply insecure on the inside, even though you're doing all the things on the outside, that's part of the frequency that we're radiating out. That's why I always say to business owners, and it's not advice that people like to hear, but it's like, it matters so much more what you do off the screen. It matters when you sit down and journal. It matters when you take time to do your breath work and healing. It matters so much more, because this is how you're feeling, who you're being, and that can't be faked. Can only be felt and chosen. And that's another paradox. That's another cool thing, because it's like, it's not available to you, but you have to choose it. You have to choose to dive in, or to lean in when it feels sticky, to face the trigger when you don't really want to, right? When it'll be easier to just like blame the person, or to sit down and meditate and write in your journal when you'd rather check your emails, you know? So the wisdom of feeling and receiving is so important. And it's these subtle moments, these subtle choices that actually code the whole, that code the quantum, that amplify into the quantum frequency. And the thing that I'm going to give you, the little thread that I'm going to give you to actually tap into this tangibly, is to play with seduction, which is why this is called Seduce Yourself, to seduce the quantum field. The energetic of seduction is rooted in desire. Right? You don't need to seduce your partner or a lover. You don't need to seduce life. You don't need to seduce money. You can have sex, live life, make some money without that, right? You can, but you can also choose to seduce it all, right? You can make that choice. You can if you want to. And what happens is when we seduce our desires or seduce ourselves, seduce our life, it shifts something that ends up having this really exponential ripple effect. Because seduction and seducing comes from desire, not need, right? And this is especially potent for you, peoples in the room who are business owners, is that, or even just for anyone who's like in some kind of lovership or partnership, or you're wanting to be, when we hustle or we serve or we give without desire, we'll get a result, sure, but it's not this embodied feeling of like, ah, yes, I want to give this to you. It's so fucking good. It feels amazing. I want it. And you can also reverse this with your desires as well. Who gets annoyed when your manifestations are taking too long to happen? I imagine everyone. I get it. I'm a fire sign. I'm impatient sometimes, you know. Right? But here's where sensuality teaches us so much about manifesting and like waiting in the void and all of that jazz. Slowing down and seducing your desire, or letting your desire seduce you, feels a lot yummier than going, where the fuck is this desire? It's not going to happen. Where you at, bro? Right? It feels a lot better to be like, oh, you know, Sky Daddy, when are you going to send me my desire? I've been waiting for you. Come on, stop teasing me. You know, give it to me. Give it to me, Daddy. You know, and this allows me personally, and hopefully you, to be a little bit more at peace when I'm sitting in the void. And when I'm at peace sitting in the void, what usually happens is, the ironic thing is that the things speed up when I slow down, right? In the same way, you know, you can rush an orgasm, but it feels a lot yummier when you sit in the yearning and the longing and the rising and the teasing and the waiting, and then it comes and you're like, oh my goodness, that was worth the wait. And it's same with our desires and with manifesting. So seduce your desires. Let your desires seduce you. And if you don't know how to do that, start using your sensuality as a mirror for it. So this is what I do. Sometimes I notice that I'm rushing. Who rushes? Like even like a little bit earlier, I was like putting on my moisturizer and I was like, just being a crazy bitch. And I was like, why am I rushing? Like, I don't need to rush right now. And actually that could have been this beautiful sensual moment. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to stop. And I was like slowing down and I just transmuted the moment, right? So you can start with just using your sensuality and sensual moments to transmute the moments. And then when you're manifesting something or you're wanting something, remember that moment. Be like, oh yeah, there's a lot of pleasure in the slowing down, even though the desire hasn't arrived yet. And it will. And I'll wait and I'll long for it. And I'll be dripping wet on my chair waiting for it. So beauties, the last thing inside of this revelation that I want to share, I just like write this down in big capital letters so I remember to share it, is that being powerfully present and receptive, so being open to receive, whether it's pleasure, love, money, desires, dreams, it's something that you be, not something that you do. And this is a game changer. It was for me, certainly, because like I was taught my whole life and in school that you get validation from doing things. And it's not that we don't do anything to be in the feminine. Of course, like I run a business, lots of different things going on. There is doing that happens, but the being comes first. The being codes the doing. The relaxing allows me to do things with precision. The embodiment, the pleasure, putting that first overflows into everything else. I'm a much nicer person when I'm pleasured. Okay. I've got a good glow when I'm orgasmic, when I've been tending to my body, taking care of myself. I'm a better coach. I'm a better wife. I'm a better lover. I'm a better friend. I'm a better example for everyone who sees me. And so I wanted to gift you these revelations because they're just kind of simple principles in a way, but when you embody these things over time, consistently, they gain momentum, they have a ripple effect. And over time, you'll look back and you'll be like, wow, these things have totally transformed my life, who I am, how I move, how I parent, how I love, how I show up in my partnerships, my work, or my business. We can learn so much from our bodies, from our sensuality, being in our senses. We can learn so much from learning to stop apologizing to other people, to other women, and stop asking other women to apologize for their fullness too, energetically or unconsciously. We can learn so much through becoming that safe mama bear for ourselves and through all of these teachings that I've shared. So, beauties, I'm going to announce the competition winner. I'm also going to open it up for you to ask questions if you want in the chat around Pleasure Empress. I'm going to share about it. If you're keen to learn, if you're keen to stay, let me know. I really honor you for showing up. I hope you had a beautiful time. I hope you took so much away. And my deepest intention and hope is that you take it away and you do something with it and you share it. And if you want to take a little photo, a little video, I should have said this earlier, of this. I love it when you love up on me on socials. I love Instagram. I love the community, the connection. So feel free to do that. I don't mind if you do. And now I'm going to share that competition winner. And then I'm going to talk to you about how you can go even deeper with this work in a really supportive way inside of Pleasure Empress. So the winner of the competition, who wins access to one of my other courses, Embodied Ecstasy, is Katrina King. So Katrina, I don't know if you're live. Are you there? Is that you, KK? Yes, amazing. I know my amazing assistant, Michelle, who's in the chat with you guys, she drew the winner for me. And I was like, oh my goodness, Katrina's going to be so happy. Oh my goodness. And yeah, celebrating you, Katrina. It's going to be amazing. It's such a beautiful intro to sensuality, that course. So I hope you have the best time in Embodied Ecstasy, and love to see you all celebrating Katrina there in the chat. So some of you who are online with me still, you're in Pleasure Empress. So if you're in Pleasure Empress, I'm celebrating you. Michelle is going to drop the link, and I'm also going to give you a gift. There was just 111 of you on this webinar. So I'm going to give you guys the gift for showing up here today, for being brave, for being courageous, of 333 pounds off of Pleasure Empress, right? It felt really right to do this. It felt really abundant. 333 is my angel number. I've got it tattooed on my body. I saw it all this week. So you can use the code PLEASURE. It's going to be up for 24 hours if you do want to jump in. And I want to just tell you about Pleasure Empress, because If you want to go really, really deep with everything we've discussed, that we've dived into today, this really is such a powerful experience. Like, if anyone who has done Pleasure Empress is in the room, feel free to share, feel free to celebrate it, to talk about it, because I know that you guys know how deep this experience was for you when we journeyed through the Pleasure Empress earlier this year. So Pleasure Empress is literally overflowing in the most sexy, juicy things, the deepest healing, and some of the best industry experts, as well as coaching with me. So it's a 7-week portal that is liberating you in sensuality, in magic, in divine feminine energetics, in shameless self-love. We do breath work every week. We have coaching every week. We have the most beautiful guest experts in there, and pre-recorded guest experts. Let me tell you about them, because you guys will know some of these names. We have Dagmar Khan, who is an amazing expert on pelvic health. So anyone who has stuff going on in your pelvis, or you have things going on with your womb, maybe from childbirth, from trauma, tightness, different conditions, she's amazing. She's featured in Pleasure Empress. We have Eleanor Hadley, who takes us through a sensual lap dance masterclass. It's really good. It's really, really good. I love her essential lap dance class. We have Danelle Barbara, who's joining us live, who is a cervical wellness priestess. She's helped hundreds of women to heal abnormal pap smears around the world. She's literally a witch of the cervix. She is incredible, so wise, and she has so much wisdom for us. We have an orgasm masterclass with Asti Marie. We have a sacred slut live masterclass with Meg O'Sullivan to reclaim your sacred slut within. We have yin and yang movement rituals from Phoebe Greenacre. We have a yoni masterclass and a yoni ritual from Rosie Reese. I'm sure some of you know Rosie Reese as well. And on our breathwork sessions every week, we have Phoebe Marie, who is one of the most incredibly talented and otherworldly healers that I know, that I personally work with, who will be doing healing during my breathwork sessions. Some of the women in my membership have experienced this, and it is so powerful for womb healing and quantum healing and astral healing. She's like nobody else that I know. So these are just our guest experts. In addition to that, we meet every week for a deep coaching call. We do a breathwork ceremony every week. And then in between, you have more than 14 rituals to move through that you can pick from, and you get to keep it all. So it's like this beautiful, abundant, overflowing menu of rituals, of embodiment practices, teaching you how to use things like the yoni egg, how to learn about your yoni, your womb, your pleasure, your orgasm, how to get into your senses, how to get into your body, how to feel safe, how to do all the things that we spoke about today, really. And yeah, it's honestly is the best thing I've ever created. I'm just going to say it. Okay, I'm going to tune into the chat for your questions. The links are being popped in there for you. Remember, you can use the code PLEASURE for the next 24 hours. And you know what? I'm going to gift the first 5 of you. I'm going to gift you one of the other programs. Let's say I'm going to gift you Embodied Ecstasy as well. So for the first 5 of you who sign up. Okay, so let me answer your questions. Leslie said, how many calls per week over 7 weeks? There's 6 calls, 6 coaching calls and 6 breathwork sessions. So you have a call every week and a breathwork session. And then the reason there's 6, not 7, is because we have a break week in the middle, because this allows you to really like slow down and integrate, because you know there's no rush. And it also just gives you time to like breathe and, you know, be with yourself. So that integration week is really beautiful. Renee said, is the breathwork and coaching calls separate or combined? They're separate. So we're going to be more, you know, in the learning on our coaching calls. We will still be being and talking and coaching. And then the breathwork really is more of like a ceremony where you're going to be in your own space and healing and breathing and releasing. So there's 2 calls every week. They're also recorded as well. So if you find that you can't make it, or coming to every single call isn't honoring your energy and your life, then of course, I always tell you, honor your energy in your life and watch the replay when you want to. Yes. Denise said, I'll be traveling while doing Pleasure Empress. Will be interesting doing some of this work in a hostel. Yes. Yes. I mean, with that as well, like I always think there's edges that we can lean into and look at, like, oh, where do I still feel ashamed of self-pleasure or doing certain practices with other people nearby or around? So I think that would be really interesting for you to experience of, and I'm so honored to have you in the group. Ramessa said, I did Pleasure Empress before and it really is amazing. The guest experts were fantastic and the whole program will help you move forward, even if baby steps like me. You have the portal to keep going back to, which I do, and you will learn something new each time. I def recommend. Oh, thank you, honey. Thank you for your love and your recognition. For a projector like me, it's like honey to my heart. Is there breast massage as well? Would love to learn more about this. Yes, there's breast massage. We dive into breast massage really early in the course, actually, because it's really important that we open our heart in order to open our lower chakras. And for a lot of people, this is a really gentle and special gateway. Breast massage is one of my favorite practices as well, personally. So it was always going to be in this portal. If you can't make the live calls, will this take away from the experience? Not necessarily. However, the invitation that I would give you, that I've given some of the other women who have joined, is that if you can't make it, I would schedule the time in your diary just so that you make sure that you're going to honor that and you're going to show up for that, even if, you choose a different time a few days later or, another week, but just make sure that you honor that, and you create this space for that, carve out the time, because it can be very easy to think like, pleasure is not a priority when I have all these things or these children or these responsibilities, and it does matter. Yeah. Renee said, not sure if you covered this. Is the masterclass with guests live or recorded? It's a mixture. So the live ones that we have with Danelle and Meg. So the cervical wellness with Danelle, and Meg is doing the Sacred Slut masterclass. And then the other ones are pre-recorded. They've been especially pre-recorded just for this. And the one with Eleanor is specially made just for this round. So it's like a new sensual lap dance masterclass that she's making. So yeah. Charlotte said, curious if you can speak on ovarian cysts and the best methods to heal them. For me, this is probably like a little bit outside the scope of my practice of like how you actually are going to heal them, because I don't want to ever guarantee something that I am not totally able to guarantee. But I really would recommend looking at Danelle's work, our guest expert. So you could also ask her if you were inside of Pleasure Empress as well. And Dagmar as well, who's one of the pre-recorded guest experts. If you look her up, Dagmar Khan, she's really amazing and has helped so many women with so many of these issues when they haven't been able to receive that help or that guidance through typical, modes of medicine. Will you be offering this program in the future too? I'm currently committed to another longer program and feel like combining the two would be a bit too much and I wouldn't integrate and take away enough. I will offer it in the future, but I won't be able to say when. It may be next year, but I don't know, because I run my business very much from my feminine desire, and that means I can't pre-plan things very far ahead. So yeah, I'm not sure yet, but we'll see. Kate said, if Pleasure Empress is calling, but investment is a bit out of reach, are there other courses you have that you would recommend? Yeah, so there's a payment plan for Pleasure Empress, and you can also use that 333 off the payment plan as well. The code is pleasure, as Michelle's popping it there for you in the chat. Also embodied ecstasy. So embodied ecstasy is it's like a one-day sort of retreat style course where you can start to embrace sensuality a little bit more. Or if you want to sort of be jumping into like breath work and getting deeper into the embodiment of your breath, then you can join my monthly membership. It's called Orgasmic Ascension, and we do breath work every full moon. A lot of the orgasmic ascension goddesses are in the chat right now. They're in the room, so they can tell you about it and how it is. So yeah, totally amazing. I'm just curious if I missed any questions. Let me see. I have a private question in the Q&A that says, do you have advice on how to open the throat chakra? Like, for example, how to start talking on Instagram stories? Really good question. I get asked this all the time. So there's a practical piece, and then there's the energetic piece. So the practical piece is to just do it. I used to have such a terrible, terrible fear of speaking on videos. I didn't even have my face in photos on my Instagram. I didn't have my name on my first Instagram. I was terrified of even stories, you know, and now I do things like this all the time. And, you know, I've really unlocked my throat chakra. Part of that is being willing to just be brave and just to jump in and to be like, I'm going to do it as many times as I need to until it is free. The other aspect is a lot of the embodiment work that we talk about in Pleasure Empress and that we do in Pleasure Empress, because there is a nerve linking our womb space, our yoni, with our throat. And actually, I don't know if you know this, but the tissue in our mouth is the same as the tissue inside of our vagina. And if you look at your pelvis, it looks the same as your jaw, right? And that's because they come from the same cell. They start as the same thing, and then they unfurl when you're in the womb. So there's a lot of links between our hips and between our throat. And so you can play with that as well, you know, looking at how you get into your hips more as a way of activating your throat, which is really cool. Amazing. Beautiful. Yes, the vagus nerve, said Colin. Yeah, the vagus nerve between our womb and our throat. Will you open Pleasure Empress again next year? Yeah, like I said, I don't know yet. I actually have another really crazy, amazing thing that's coming through for me that I'm focused on at the moment, that I'm going to bring to life later in the year. Not the same as this. So I don't know when I'll open Pleasure Empress again. We'll see. It could be next year. It could not be. I don't know. Amazing. Any crystal recommendations for wands or for crystals? That's okay, Maddie. No worries, love. There's a lot of information being shared, so all good. For crystal wands, I recommend a whole load of crystal wands, yoni eggs, books, songs, everything. There's basically like, do you remember when you went to school, how you get like your book list and like all the stationery on it? There's like that, but inside Pleasure Empress with links to everything, all of my favorite tools. I share those inside of the course just because, you know, it's wisdom that I want to share inside of Pleasure Empress. And my two favorite stores are Yoni Pleasure Palace and Asti Marie's store, which is Pleasure Treasures. And yeah, both of those stores are owned by women who are guest experts in this program as well. Can we purchase the recordings after it is run if we can't commit to it now? I don't think I'll put it on sale after, just because the nature of the coaching calls are really private. And so we'll be creating that energy together. So my recommendation would be, if that is your desire, to purchase it and then watch it back later. Just because I like to create a really beautiful, safe, intimate space with people. And I don't want people to think that I'm selling recordings of them after the course has run. Yeah, beautiful. Rachel said, will there be a max number of women within Pleasure Empress? We'll have to see. If it starts getting like really, really like so many people, I might decide to do that at some point. So we'll see. Last time I checked, there is 34 women inside. I think maybe a couple of people have actually been joining on this call as well. So maybe it's more now, and I'll add them to the wall up there, because I'm putting everyone's names on my wall so I can honor and celebrate everyone. Beautiful. Well, thank you, my loves, for staying to the end. If you're curious, I'm gonna go off and just be like dancing in the garden and stuff today and just like living my life. I've got to check in with my clients and go to dinner later, but I'll have my phone on me on Instagram. So if you want to send me a message with any questions or curiosities, feel free to do that. I don't bite. I'll never pressure you. And I just want to love up on you, honor you so much for coming today and being here. It's really such a gift, such an honor. And let me know your key takeaways. Tag me on Instagram if there's something that really resonated or inspired you. And feel free to just continuously share those things with me, because I love to see how the wisdom and the teachings and the medicine ripple out into the world. So thanking you, loving you, honoring you, celebrating you, cherishing you. You're amazing. And I might see some of you soon inside Pleasure Empress. Bye, guys. Lots of love.